Straight arm pull downs, fabulous exercise for the latissimus dorsi, the lats. For back training, there's no biceps associated with it. So that's why it's such a good exercise. So one way of doing straight arm pull downs, I did this a lot in my career, but I'd always go fairly wide. But what I realized in time, I realized that this exercise really challenged my rear delt due to the position. So what I used to do is bring my grip in a little bit more. If you are doing a wide grip straight arm pull down, just know that you are activating the posterior deltoid. And we've got to get the angle right where the cable doesn't really move that much, right? If I go back further, it will mean I have to start a little bit further down. If I'm further up, then I can get more of a stretch, but I lose the bottom position. So what we would need to do is get a more of a happy medium. Set yourself up, stabilize the body, and then you're going to initiate down using abs, right? Driving the scapula down. Right, that's one thing I've done now as I've gotten older, and I didn't do it in my career, is I didn't keep my traps down. So I'd always elevate my traps, then go, especially with using heavy weight. So what I know now, drop my shoulders down, depress the scapula, and I find when I do that, my lats engage so much more. But this is what I would call a straight arm pull down. But I could plus that. How I plus it, if I use a rope, there's a rope that's short, what will happen, I'm going to internally rotate again. So I need something that's going to allow my humerus to come into neutral. This is a far better position, right, to challenge my lats, less shoulder issues or irritation at the shoulder joint. So I'm using quite a long rope here. So I want to find that best distance. Is it here? Is it in the middle? Or is it further back? You can play around with it. Depress scapula, brace abs, straight arms, right? Trying to get the humerus to extend, right? Shoulder extension. And I'm trying to close the daylight between my humerus and my side. Now, to plus that, get it even better, here's what we're going to do now. We're going to make it into a dual again. This allows me to really get my shoulders even back further. So I'm in a better posture. How could I make it harder from there? I can kneel down. Forces you to stabilize because stability is governed by muscle contraction. It's called a straight arm pull down for a reason, right? There's no bend in the arm, right? This one is another variation for the lats, right? What I love about this one is you can do it on a regular cable machine. So I'm on the bench here. I've got about 30 degrees on the bench. I've got a rope attachment set up here. I've got a small rope this time. Now, the first thing I do is I create contact with my feet on the ground. Now I'm going to brace my abs. In bodybuilding, when I was competing, I would expand my rib cage. I just found that I can connect with my lats better. But now I'm really using my trunk as much as possible when I'm training. I've got my elbow just in line with my ears, no further than that, especially if you've got shoulder problems. So notice, most people that I'm seeing doing this exercise, they go back okay, but as soon as they come down to get the lats shortened, they extend. Where's it going? It's going back to the tricep again. Now, the position I'm in right now has to be sustained through all aspects of the range. Watch, my arms and elbows don't move. The fun part is getting back when you're tired. Let me show you another one. So what I'm going to get us to do now is I'm going to use the longer rope attachment. Now I'm going to come over. So I'm going to lie down. Now here's a cue. Similar position to when I was lying on my back. Soft elbow. My chest is dangling over the edge. I've got to make sure that I'm squared up with the bench, right? I've got a decent amount of resistance, but also I've got a distance away from where the cable machine is. And all I'm thinking about doing is keep my elbows in this position. But more importantly, I've dropped my scapula down and then initiate the elbows. Stop there. There's no point coming up any higher, which will probably mean you lifting off, which is what we don't want because that's where momentum comes into it. And we all know that momentum is a negative factor in training. As the great late Mike Mentor once said, right, drop the elbow in to the pocket, but depress the scapula. As soon as I depress my scapula, it's like I feel my lats engage more and the muscle contraction seems to go up a lot higher. We're so grateful to have machines. And if you don't have this machine, it's okay. You can still do something equivalent to this. We want this for the lats, right? Latissimus dorsi. Where's the insertion of the lat, right? It inserts onto the humerus and it wraps round all the way around and attaches to the lumbar spine. So I look at the handle position of this exercise is vital. If the handle position's on the inside and I pull, what's my elbow going to do? It's going to flare. which means more activation to the posterior delt. I want to take that posterior back out of it, or posterior delt out of it, and then keep my elbow tucked in. Close the daylight between my tricep and my side. That is how I challenge the free lat region. So what I'm going to do is put this on the outside, both of them. What I love about this machine, they got this handle. This is so important because what it allows you to do unilaterally, working on one side of the body, is it allows you to stabilize, but more importantly, you can use more load. There is a few ways you can do this. My first one is one's going to be in the lengthened position while the other one's working. Now, in order for me to get my lat fully lengthened, I have to keep my biceps facing the ceiling. Chest is up, my lat is fully lengthened there. And so from there, I'm going to keep this arm not moving and my right arm's going to do the work. Now, my elbow is tucking into my side. I'm treating my hand as a hook. So that allows me mentally to challenge my lat better. I can also do it here. Use more load, get stable. I like a little bit of spinal lateral flexion, not too much. So as I pull, I lean just a little and I'm driving that elbow down into the pocket. Keep this shoulder down, right? We don't want it to come up. If it does come up, then as you initiate down, drop it back down again. Hold it. I'm thinking of that. When I do that exercise and I hold it, I imagine as I'm on stage and the judges are behind me, and then you see the Christmas tree up the lat. That's what I'm envisioning when I'm training unilaterally. And I also do the same thing when I'm doing like single arm dumbbell row. Single arm dumbbell row is interesting because the way I used to do it back in the day, I go very heavy obviously, and I would do it conventional style. So conventional style, when I grab that dumbbell, right, this is how I used to do it, right? Nothing wrong with that, right? But what I found, my hips are moving all over the place. I'm trying to create more stability in my training. So that's one way, that's the conventional way. I can also do it symmetrical. This is a great way to create stabilization. And then my last way, which is my favorite, probably the most prevalent, is if I'm working my right arm, I'm also going to keep my right leg on the ground as well. So what that looks like, look at this. Now I can really square up my hips and my pelvis, and my shoulders are nice and level and parallel to the ground. Then I'm going to take my left hand and shove it into the machine that's in front of me, or the rack is in front of me. I'm going to drive tension down. Take the dumbbell at the front. Never take the dumbbell at the back. Square. Drive this leg into the ground. Right? Create force into the ground and initiate elbow. Right? Most people, when they row, they'll row like that. If I look at that and stand up, that's a hammer curl, isn't it? Which is going to go brachyradialis. So I would look at changing that distance, drop the shoulder down, and then pull the load in towards the pocket. Don't pull the dumbbell into the chest.